Welcome to episode 34. Does speed reading really work? It's a new year and a new you. What changes are you going to make? Happy 2021 from me and my staff at craigansell.com and our Career Growth Made Easy podcast. It's a new year, and we're going to talk about speed reading and see if it really does work. But before we do that, I wanted to give you a little bit more of my background. I know we might have a few new listeners out there, and some of you haven't had the time to go to our website, craigansell.com, and go to the About page and read up on me. But I just wanted you to get the chance to know me a little bit more. It was about 12 years ago that I suffered an unexpected job loss. I had given, ironically, nearly 12 years of my life to a company that I served wholeheartedly, and I was let go. I became the victim of a RIF, or reduction in force. I was shocked. I didn't know if I had an updated resume. I didn't know if I could find it. And I certainly didn't know what the next steps were, including how to prepare myself or find time to study for an interview. I knew that there were resume services out there as I started to search the web, and they were at the tune of hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Not having a job as the days and weeks went by, I struggled to decide, will I use one of these resume services? If I do, and maybe even go into debt using a credit card, the more I spend, will it make the resume even better? I felt kind of lost. Wasn't sure my next steps. And that is part of where my passionate study began. I went down to the local libraries, did a lot of searching on the internet, and just tried to find everything out I could about how to update your resume, how to prepare for and win at an interview, as well as write cover letters and perform highly in a job once I would obtain one. I realized I wasn't learning the information fast enough, at least for my liking, and that is where my passionate interest in speed reading began. Even though I was studying somewhat like an information sponge, I just wasn't getting the results fast enough, at least the way I would like to see, and get back into the full-time job market. So I researched a little bit on speed reading and eventually purchased a course. After taking that course, I found out that it was possible to speed read. And yes, it is possible to retain the information. Let's talk about that in today's episode. But before we begin, I just want to encourage you to stick around to the very end because we have some very exciting announcements for 2021 and don't want you to miss out. All right, let's get rolling. At the time, the course I took was called Reading the Right Way, and it was a play on words because the author's name was Carol Ann Wright, and her name is Wright. I've got the series here, and actually it's a CD series, believe it or not, that you load into your computer and you'd print off some of the documents for studying and doing the speed reading as well as speed reading testing rates. She promises read faster and manage your information overload. And then it says her system will help you read faster, retain more valuable information, process information better, boost productivity, quickly and efficiently read to process ideas, not just words. I went ahead and pulled one of these bad boys out. It's copyrighted 2006, so it gives you an idea. It's much dated information, but at the time it significantly helped me, and to this day I'm still seeing awesome results with it. I was skeptical, I have to admit, and you may be too listening to this for the first time. But what I learned over time was that many of us read at the same speed at which we talk. Even if we're reading silently, we tend to read at the speed that we talk. Also, if we come across any particular words that are difficult to read, difficult to interpret, or that connect with memories of our past, we tend to stall when we're reading. Such as you see the word vacation, or maybe the word Hawaii, or the word refund, or lottery. And we might just stall and kind of go into daydreaming mode. Her course helps you stay on track and continue to read through the sentences and read through the content to get to the information more quickly. Now you might wonder, how do you do that? And of course, she's got a process and a solution for that. I will walk you through the process that I learned. It's quite interesting, actually, because at the beginning, you read at your normal pace and you document that down. Afterwards, you take a test to see if you retain the information that you read at your normal pace. Turns out I did take that test and received 100% for the retention. Now, the information that I read was something completely random that she had loaded into the CDs, and that I could just print out different sections of text, and alongside the text was a word count as I would read for a total of 5 minutes, and then depending on how far I got, I would go ahead and answer questions up to that word count level, because that would be up to the level of information that I should have retained. I did that, I think, once or twice just to get a good basis, and luckily I received 100% on both. So that's good that my retention's functioning, at least at normal reading rate. Then, as I read through her book and her information, I started to learn some of the tips and techniques that she was promising on the cover of her book. As I started to increase my reading rate, I was shocked to find out that I was able to get up to a 3x, a 3 times reading rate, and still have retention. I took those same tests as I mentioned earlier on different content, of course, and was able to receive 100% retention, but to my surprise, I read nearly 3 times as much word content. One of the techniques I remember that she shared with us was that the eye is attracted to motion. It can be physical motion or just the fact of a status change, such that you're sitting at a stoplight, for example, and the light changes from red to green. Nothing physically moved, but there was a change in the field. There was a change in information that your eye perceived, and it was attracted to it, signaling it's time to go. For book reading, though, what does this have to do with your eyes attracted to motion? The words on the pages aren't jumping off the book, are they? Literally? No. What she has you do is track your reading with your finger. You eventually train yourselves to read with your finger, or some people could use a pen, pointer, or other instrument, pencil for example, but you have to condition yourself to read at the speed of which your finger is moving, and you try to have a constant speed with your finger. At first, it's extremely difficult and doesn't make a bunch of sense, but what you find is that you start to slow down as you track through the sentences with your finger, and eventually you stop using your finger at all, and you start reading again at the speed at which you're used to talking, essentially. Once you get the process down, you will consistently use your finger or pointing device to read at a more comfortable speed and process through those words, those sentences more quickly. If you get up to a speed that's too high, and you'll know this because you'll get through a page or a paragraph and then kind of pause as you turn the page and say, hey, I don't remember any of that content at all. Let me go back. Or what was it that I just read on the last page or two? You're speed reading so quickly that you're not putting enough information together to make it cognitive and make it connected. So what I learned over time was that I became comfortable at a 3x reading speed, and that has suited me fine, as I mentioned, for about 11 or 12 years now. The tip I can give you, and it may not be the same for everyone, is that this speed reading does really work for me. 1, because English is my native language, so I read books in English. And 2, is that it works because I'm interested as an engineer and as a technically minded person. I'm interested in technical things, I'm interested in process-oriented things, and so forth. So anything related to technique, technical process, therefore process improvement, it could be related to work, could be related to the process of improving resumes, learning how to interview better, as I mentioned. All that stuff I absorb very easily and very quickly, thank God, and I'm able to retain that information. Now, on the other hand, I tried reading for pleasure, such as just some general books that weren't for knowledge but just were for entertainment or for excitement, and the speed reading really didn't work. Because one of the things with her course is that she tries, as I mentioned earlier, to get you to avoid the pauses and avoid the daydreaming and the distractions. If you use your finger, you should avoid those things because your finger has the content continuing to flow into your eyes and into your brain for absorption. But if you stop and get caught on those words like vacation, Hawaii, for example, lottery, whatever the key word is, right? Then that's where you lose your speed and you lose your continuity with reading. So again, if you're going to use this, I would recommend using it in a field that you're passionate about, a field that you're interested in, and that it can benefit you. You may find, depending on how your brain is wired, that it would work for your personal pleasure reading. But for me, again, it doesn't. And my main concern, my main focus is for improving my self-process technology and just general information. There's one thing that I wanted to clarify. I had offered this audio CD course to a colleague in the past, and her native language was Spanish, with English being a second language. She came back and was very thankful to try the course, but said that she had difficulty speed reading because of the way that she processes the words. I believe in Spanish, it's the noun first, then the adjective, such as car red versus red car, as in English. Touching back on the speed reading course and going solely off of my memory, I think she even has techniques that can increase your reading speed up to 10 times or even faster. She has processes that you can learn about reading in unique patterns, like a Z-scan of the book page, reading from left to right, then kind of diagonally down the center, then across the bottom. She also had one process where you actually read down the center of the entire page, because I believe what she was sharing was most of the content is in the center of the page, and the filler words are on the sides, along with prefixes and suffixes, which get broken up, so the most content is in the middle. And if I recall correctly, talking about prefixes and suffixes, one of the other techniques she has to further increase your reading speed is to learn to look and process the root part of the word. You don't need to worry about the prefix or suffix. I know for many of us, we process things in tense. Something happened, is happening, or will happen, right? Past, present, future. But it takes some time and a little bit of processing, a little bit of training, but you can eventually start to read the words in the book using the root word, the core of the word, and you will process the information. I initially struggled with it, to be honest, but it is helpful, and eventually you can trick your brain or reprogram your brain to process the information, and you still will absorb it. So if you're interested in her course, I'll put some links in the show notes. I'm sure there's some more current information out there. And again, you might want to go faster than my 3x reading speed, but it's worked very, very well for me. And for whatever time you used to take completing a book or completing an assignment at work that you had to scan through some documents and still retain the information, wouldn't it be great to double or even triple your speed like I have? I'm sure you can, and possibly even do better. I hope you consider checking out either Reading the Right Way by Carol Ann Wright or some other speed reading course and see if it works for you. Thanks for sticking in to the end. As promised, we have some super exciting announcements for 2021. Near the end of January, we're going to be doing a webinar. That's right, a live webinar. Actually, a series of them. And it's going to be on my brand new digital product, my Resume Masterclass. So stay tuned for more information on our Resume Masterclass webinar. Details to follow. Now, new for 2021, we have our free download of our Resume Booster. I share some tips and techniques from my Resume Masterclass, and it's yours. All you have to do is go to craigansell.com/resume booster and sign up there. You'll get a free download. Resumes usually invoke thoughts of fear, worry, anxiety, or, oh, not that again. With my free PDF download of 3 simple and powerful ways to boost your resume, available at craigansell.com/resume booster, you can be well on your way to either creating, improving, or redesigning your resume so that you grab a future employer's attention more quickly. Wishing you peace and health for the new year. God bless. This has been Craig Ansell from the Career Growth Made Easy podcast. We're at Craig Ansell on social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and now Twitter. Talk to you soon. Thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe to our channel. New episodes every Monday. In the meantime, why don't you follow us on social media at Craig Ansell on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. To book a coaching appointment, download our free guides, or join our email list, check out the links in the description below.